Another 3 inches of rain. Oh my goodness, I thought it would never stop raining. It's still cloudy today, but we're actually getting a break in the rain. Rain is water, water is life. It all means water, catch it to me, and it's all great. But I'm a little tired of the rain. 3 more inches, oh my gosh. So, okay, so what am I doing outside today? Well, I'm standing on Berry Lane, and I wanted to share with you something that I learned on my own. I'm sure I could have Googled this and learned it, but I'm really happy that I learned it on my own. I'm going to include a link to a video. I don't own that video, so you just go over there and see whoever's channel it's on. But it takes place in Canada. It's along a walking trail, and it's one of those Karen videos. Now, I don't really like to use the term Karen because I don't like labeling people, but just for the sake of our discussion right now, a Karen, I suppose by definition, would be any entitled person who gets very upset when you don't conform to their personal belief system, and then they start berating other people around them. There are Karens all over this planet. I know some personally. I personally wish they'd get off YouTube, but whatever. Anyways, these girls, these young girls, are standing on the trail. Now, you don't see the young girls, you can just hear them. And this woman is just tearing them apart because not only did they eat some berries off the shrub, which she doesn't seem to have a problem with them eating the berries, but one of the young girls is holding one of the stems, a very short part of the stem, and she's looking at the leaves, and she's talking to her friend about these leaves, and they're eating berries, and they're minding their business, and they're exploring the woods around them. And this woman has a sincere problem with that. She seems to have it in her mind that by trimming a small piece of a shrub off, that you're going to destroy the whole shrub. She's somehow taking the shrub with her, this young girl. And she's not. She's not at all. She's just out there with her friend exploring nature. So that, I think, is one of the best ways that you can learn about nature. I don't advocate going out in the woods and just eating any berry that you come across. And I'm sure these girls were raised in this area, they're native to this area, and they knew what they were eating. And they just happened to be holding one of the little stems. So remember that my forest right now is full of brambles and plants and wild things that I really have no idea what all of them are. But I did stumble upon a wild rose shrub and a wild gooseberry shrub. I've never seen blooms in my forest of either one. I've never seen berries on any of the gooseberries. Of course, it's kind of hard to get way back in there because we don't have trails everywhere yet. But along Berry Lane, we now have a trail, and I can get up close and personal with some of these shrubs. And so I took it upon myself to trim a couple of these shrubs. I trimmed 2 rose bushes and 3 gooseberry plants. And now I want to take you over there and show you the difference between the ones that did get trimmed and got attention and the ones that didn't. So let's go take a look, shall we? 3 inches. Ugh. So this is a pretty good representation of what all of my forest looks like. As you can see, you really wouldn't want to go walking around out there. Not only would you get covered with ticks and chiggers, but you would also be covered in bramble thorn wounds. So let me show you a wild one. Now this is truly to a wild rose. This is a prairie rose. I've since discovered they grow wild in my area, and they're like a type of rose stock. And I didn't do anything to this one. I haven't cleaned up anything around it. I haven't cleaned up anything that's a canopy over it. I haven't trimmed this thing. It's just been growing wild like this for as long as it's been here, which I have no idea. There's nothing on it. There's no kinds of buds, nothing. There's just growth. So this shrub is so busy growing and producing stems that are trying to reach towards the sun. You can see these guys back here. See how they're leaving the mama plant and they're saying, oh, we need sun, we need sun, we need to get up and out of here. And so it's so busy sending up shoots that it has no time to fruit and flower. Let me show you one that I have trimmed. And here's the one that I did trim. Now it's also sending up some green shoots. You can see some new growth on here. This very, very bright green is new growth. But because of what I did in trimming it, look what she's also producing. Those are her babies. She was actually able to produce buds for me this year. So if you look very, very close, not only is there going to be a bud there, but at the base of every bud, if you can see it, oh, there's one. Let me get closer. See that tiny little rose hip? Now those rose hips are full of vitamin C, which is an antioxidant. So make sure you do your research before you consume too much vitamin C, because it can interact with any pharmaceuticals that you're on. But we all know how healthy vitamin C is. Those are all buds. These are all rose buds. Those wouldn't have been here if I hadn't trimmed this shrub. None of that would be here. It would be just like that overgrown rose bush that you saw up the path. And take a look at this one, same thing. Look what she's able to produce now. Look at that. She's got a lot of this on her, these little baby rosebuds. I am fully convinced she wouldn't have had this otherwise. She'd just be busy pushing out more stems, and she would not have been stimulated and able-bodied enough to produce all of this. So I'm not only going to get native roses here, which these are not like your yard roses, like knockout roses and things like that. This is called Rosa arkansasa, something like that. And this is purely natural in my area. This is not the invasive multiflora rose. Now, if this bloomed white, which there's no reason for it to, I wouldn't have multiflora roses growing here naturally. I do have this prairie rose. It's also called a Cherokee rose. There's lots and lots of names for it, but it just grows here naturally. But she wasn't going to produce anything. She wasn't going to do anything. She was just going to be busy building or sending out shoots and growth. So by trimming her and getting her a little bit under control, I've now been able to get her to produce some buds and some wonderful rose hips. Now let's go check out the gooseberry. It's kind of hard to see, but these tiny little white flowers, what's left of them, because a lot of them have fallen off now, each one of these has a little baby gooseberry. A little teeny, see that little bitty marble? That's a baby gooseberry. So in this forest, I have taught myself that by trimming these shrubs, getting them under control, and allowing them to grow like they need to, giving them the space and the light and the stimulation that they need, they're giving back to me now by producing wild gooseberry. Wild gooseberry is loaded with like B6, some more vitamin C, fiber, all kinds of healthy stuff. So if I could make my trails and I could have wild roses and wild gooseberry all along my trails, that alone becomes a food forest. But in addition to that, we also have wild persimmon, we have pecans, and of course we have tons and tons of wild blackberry. So I just wanted to show that by getting out in the woods and exploring things on your own, you learn so much. So I want to say kudos to those young girls. Kudos to those girls for getting out there in nature and exploring, and the heck with the Karens of the world. Don't pay those Karens any attention. Girls, you get out there, you explore all you want to. Don't eat anything that you don't know what it is, but definitely get out there and explore nature. You'll be amazed at what you find out. Love and light.